Hello everybody, welcome back to the online sessions for MGM Higher Secondary School, Bokaro. This is video number 3 for Class 8 English Chapter 1. If you remember, in the last video we discussed about Night Voices by Arthur Conan Doyle. We have already discussed about the poet, and we have already discussed about the title of the poem. Here I am presenting the slide before you to help you understand better. Moving on, in the last class we also covered about the poem, what the poem is about after all. We know we have a young child in conversation with his father about his fears of the dark night and the sounds that he hears in the night. Coming to the critical analysis of the poem, we have already discussed that there are 4 stanzas of 5 lines each. We have discussed the rhyming scheme, which is A, B, C, C, B. We also know that the poem is full of mystery. And Arthur Conan Doyle is a poet as well as a writer who creates fictional characters full of suspense and mystery. As we know, his most famous work is the character of Sherlock Holmes. The another important thing that we must discuss today is the poetic devices used. Now, the poem is always understood at 2 levels. Firstly, the literal level means when we read the poem what we understand literally, and secondly, the metaphorical level. That is, when we read a poem, there is always some hidden meaning, some meaning at a different level that cannot be simply understood unless we read the poem in a deeper, meaningful way. One of the poetic devices or the figures of speech used by the poet is that of analogy, which is comparison and contrast. The poet uses the technique of comparison and contrast to show the difference between manhood and childhood. We have a young child, inquisitive in nature, full of questions, he is afraid, he is young. And on the other hand, we have a grown-up man who is brave, smiling at the face of danger, whose answers are very rational, and he is calm and controlled. The poet also uses onomatopoeia, another poetic device which is also called sound words. These words like whisper, murmur, roar, chuckle, these are repeatedly used in the poem, and these are called sound words. These sound words are also characteristic when compared to the stillness of the night. They stand out when compared to the stillness of the night. Another poetic device used by the poet is alliteration. Now, alliteration is a kind of figure of speech where the sounds or letters at the beginning of words are very close to each other and they are also same. For example, in this sentence from the poem, who is it who whispers in the wood? The sound of W is quite close to each other and the letter W is at the beginning of each word quite close to each other. Next we see repetition. Now repetition is another kind of poetic device and it is of different types. In this poetry we come across anaphora. It is a kind of repetition technique in which a word or a phrase is repeatedly used in the beginning of several sentences. For example, in the poem we see father, father. These 2 words or phrases being used again and again throughout the poem. Another poetic device used by the poet is anticlimax, which means just the opposite of climax. In the beginning of the two stanzas of the poem that we read here, we see that a tension is built up. A sense of mystery is heightened in the beginning of the sentence. For example, who is murmuring, who is whispering. But the answers that we get at the end of the stanza is not as expected to match the tension generated by the first lines of the stanza. This is called anticlimactic. Means the beginning of the sentence or stanza, the beginning of the sentence of the stanza is quite intense, while the ending does not compare to the same intensity. The enthusiasm is lacking. The next type of poetic device used is climax or climactic. Now, climax is that part in a story or a plot or a poem when the sense of mystery or interest is at its peak, at its highest point. Interestingly, in this poem, the conclusion part of the poem is climactic, means the most interesting part of the poem is towards the end of the poem. The suspense is highest at the end. The poem, which started as a simple conversation between a child and his father about his worries and fears, suddenly becomes heightened in suspense, and the mystery remains unsolved or unresolved. So this is a climactic end to the poem. Coming to the next part, another poetic device used by the poet is a cliche. Now, cliche is something that is repeated in the same manner so many number of times that it becomes quite normal for the reader. We don't find it something that should be taken interest in. So, in the first three stanzas, we see that the child's vivid imagination, his overactive imagination, becomes so repeated, so circumlocutory, means he's asking the same type of question again and again that the worries of the readers do not match his worry. Means the reader takes his worries for granted, almost like a cliche. However, the poem you will find is full of sensory details. Sensory details mean the poem is full of such kind of words which paint a picture in the mind. An imagery is created. It appeals to the sense of sound and the sense of virtual sights. We have already discussed the sound words. Now, the word glen in the third stanza of the poem is actually a word to describe the Scottish alleys behind building. So when the poet uses this word, we are immediately taken back to the suburban Scottish town. And because the poet himself is a Scottish writer, we understand the association of the word. This is how, with the choice of his words, the poet is able to paint a sensory picture or image in our mind. Now, another important poetic device used by the poet is irony. While we read the poem, it is quite a simple one, a simple conversation. But when we read it once again, like which was your homework, I hope you have read the poem, we come to understand that it is quite ironical. In the beginning, the father is supposed to be a supportive figure, a parent figure, somebody the child is asking question to, somebody the child is depending on for proper answers, somebody with whom he is supposed to feel safe and sound. However, in the fourth stanza, the scene completely changes. The child is asking his father a question and the father is not replying to him, and his earlier answers were not satisfactory. The child is not pacified by his answers. In fact, the child is quite worried because his father is smiling without an answer. And suddenly we see the irony is clear. A person who was supposed to be supportive has suddenly become creepy and suspicious. That's the poetic devices that you have to write in your copy, children. Your English book looks something like this, and this is the first page of the book. An interesting activity is given for you. I hope you will do it on your own. Some interesting characters are given and the creators of those characters are also given. You have to match them, and a small mystery is given for you to solve. Now this is the poem which I have already read for you. I hope you read it again, and I have given it for your reference. 4 stanzas to the poem. Let us come to the exercises of the poem. Now the first one is a reference to context question. Let me read it out for you. You have to do it on your own. I'll just discuss it with you. But you sit so still and straight, ever staring, ever smiling at the door. Who does you refer to? You have to write in complete sentences. Do not give me an MCQ type of answer. Give me complete sentences. Who is you? Who says these lines? You have to answer that. And what is the speaker's mood at this time and why? You have to tell me. There are 2 parts of the question. What is the speaker's mood? How is he feeling? And why is he feeling like that? Next is question and answers. What sounds does the child hear in the night? I have given the poem to you for reference. In our previous video, we have read the poem. Go back to that slide of the poem, go back to the video and see what are the different kinds of sound does the child hear. Write it down in complete sentences. Next is, does the child think the sounds are from an animal or a human? Why do you say so? There are 2 parts to the question. First, you have to understand and write. Do you think the child is hearing sounds of animal? If yes, why? How can you say that it's the animal sounds? If no, if it is a human sound, how can you say it is a human sound? Next is, what explanation does the father give for the sounds? You have to write in detail what are the different sounds, explanation does the father give, what kind of sound it is, and what kind of rational explanation does the father give. Next is what's the child satisfied with the explanations? How do you know? I have just explained to you. If you think the child was satisfied, you tell us how do you think he was satisfied. If you think no, he was not satisfied, you have to give me reason. How do you know that he was not satisfied? Now give me complete answers, and 2 parts of the question, both of them have to be answered. The last question for this is, which lines tell us that the child was a little afraid of the dark? A simple question. I'm sure everybody can answer. Now we have to discuss and write. This also you will do it on your own. Does the poem make you feel sad, nervous or a little scared? Why? Again, there are 2 parts of the question. This is a very subjective question. So you tell me whether you feel sad or nervous or scared and why do you feel so? Now, do you think the child's father answered his questions truthfully? If yes, give your reason. If no, give your reason. Again, there are 2 parts to the question and you have to answer both the parts. In stanza 4, the child says, tell me what you're waiting for. But the father does not respond. How do you think the child must have felt? This is again a subjective question. Just put yourselves in that scenario where you are afraid, it's dark, your light is burning out and you have asked the parent figure a question, and instead of answering, the person is just sitting and smiling. How will you feel if something like this happens to you? You have to write this in context to the child. Now there's a small read to appreciate question. Let's see what it is. While reading the poem Night Voices, you must have noticed a pattern of rhyming words that runs through the 4 stanzas of the poem. What do you think is the rhyme scheme? Very easy. We have already discussed this and it is already there in the critical appreciation part. You just have to go through it once again and answer on your own. Coming to the last exercise, fill in the blanks, quite easy. There are dashed lines in each stanza. How many? You tell me. The dash and the dashed line in each stanza end with the same word. So you have to see which line of the stanzas end with the same word. You have to write the line number. Similarly, the dash and the dashed line in each stanza end with the rhyming words. Again, you have to see which line number and which line number have words which end with rhyming words. You have to write the line numbers. B, you have to do it on your own. It looks quite easy for a class 8 student. Now what happens here? There are lines given. You have to make our own poem of your own. and the last word that is supposed to be there in each line is underlined. So knocking is underlined, that will be coming at the end. Porch will come in the end of the line. I knocking, I father heard some father think. So how will you write? Father, father, I heard, I think I heard some knocking. Father, father, I think I heard some knocking. In the same way, will do the rest of the lines. In your book itself, if you have the book, if no, do it in a rough copy. That's all for today, children. See you in the next session. Bye bye and take care.